Greetings, airmen, guardians, and families. I am Tammy Hearn, the Chief of the Air Force's Personnel Center Exceptional Assignment Programs Division and Director of the EFMP Central Cell. Thank you for joining our EFMP Transformation Update today. We have a great lineup of presenters, EFMP Central Cell team members sharing important family member travel screening and accelerated orders information and tips. But first, I'd like to provide an update on family member travel screening production and timeliness. This slide reflects family member travel screening case processing since January 2022. The team adjudicated thousands of applications depicted within the green area of the bar chart, with the largest number of applications having June and July report not later than dates. We are working applications as they arrive to the Central Cell. You'll notice that hundreds of applications with report not later than dates well out to the next year are complete. The status of all pending family member travel screening cases is also reflected on this chart. Let's take a closer look at those pending applications. The key for application status is presented in the top right-hand corner. The black and gray areas of the chart depict the cases that are pending action with the member, while the red depicts cases pending with the losing base special needs coordinator at the military treatment facility. The orange area of the bar graph reflects the number of family member travel screening applications pending with the EFMP Central Cell, and the yellow indicates those applications pending with the gaining military treatment facility, special needs coordinator, and medical review officer. Once the gaining location makes a determination, the application is returned to the Central Cell for final adjudication. These cases are marked in light green. As of 28 November, we have almost 2,500 family travel screening applications, 81% of which are either pending with the service member and family or with the losing base special needs coordinator, while 7% of applications are pending with the Central Cell. Family travel applications are submitted and tracked via MyVector. A depiction of the MyVector Tableau dashboard helps to look at the production line in one glance and identify steps in the process that need attention. Again, 81% of applications are pending with the service member and family or the losing special needs coordinator. We are postured to receive and process these family applications quickly, but need your help to get them here. Dr. George, the Central Cell Medical Branch Chief, will share how families can ensure their package moves quickly through the process. Dr. George?
Thank you, Mrs. Hearn. Hello, I'm Dr. Arlene George, Chief of the Exceptional Assignment Program, Medical Branch. My team and I have worked diligently over the past 2.5 years to bring you a more efficient family medical travel screening process. As you know, we have faced challenges in the beginning, but due to the hard work and dedication, we have broken through the backlog and are processing applications on a first in, first out basis. What that means for you is that once your application reaches the Central Cell, we begin to work on moving it forward. While this is exciting news, we have identified reasons that applications do not process through as timely as they should. The number one reason for applications to stall in the process is the lack of medical records provided. I'd like to provide some tips on how to better prepare your FMTS application and keep it moving through the process. Medical records. Make sure your dependent's medical records are current. If a family member is seeing a civilian provider, gather the records annually and provide your local special needs coordinator with those records. It's very easy to get in the habit of doing this at the start of the year. So if you haven't already done so, start 2023 off by providing your SNC with a 2870 to request all of your 2022 medical records. Requesting those records through the Special Needs Coordinator eliminates outside costs for you and your family. If you're going OCONUS, your dependent must have a comprehensive physical within 12 to 24 months of the PCS, and for dependents under 12, well child checks according to the recommendations of the American Pediatric Association. Don't wait for the last minute to schedule. Get on an early start so that your FMTS application can process through in a timely manner. The second most common reason your application can come to a screeching halt is incomplete forms. Make sure the 1466D dental form is signed by a dentist. Please make sure the 2792-1 education form is completed and signed by your dependent school. A few additional tips to help the application process. Be transparent. Be truthful. The more we need to search for information, the slower your application process is. Be timely. Do not wait for the last minute. And also provide all of the information you want considered when your application is being reviewed. Here are some examples. If you were previously at a projected assignment location and established care with a provider there, tell us, list it. If you have located care and you want that provider considered, and I'm going to give a little caveat here. Just because you find a provider that says yes does not mean that that provider can actually give you the recommended treatments that your dependent requires. So list the provider for us, but also understand that we're going to take into consideration, can that provider actually perform the treatments required? And if you'd like to clarify needs and types of care, list it. All of this information can be listed in the supporting document section. We are here to serve you and your family. We want to make sure we are making the right decisions in the best interest of the member, the family, the Air Force, and Space Force. Working together, we can make this a better process for you. Help us help you. We are one team, one force, one country. I would like to take a moment to introduce you to Dr. Melinda Sutton. Dr. Sutton is the supervisory physician of the EFMP medical team, and she is joining us today to share with you a little bit about her background and the team she supervises.
Thank you, Dr. George. I'm happy to be here and have this opportunity to share a little about the EFMP Central Cell Medical Team. I am Dr. Melinda Sutton. I am a board-certified family medicine physician and have practiced both primary care and urgent care medicine. My previous experience includes providing care in a multi-specialty group with several offices throughout Manhattan, New York. My most recent civilian work experience is that of serving as a medical advisor for the Air Force Review Board's agency at Joint Base Andrews, Maryland. In that capacity, I provided medical review of disability cases, line of duty, personnel actions such as pregnancy separations, hardship separations, inter-service transfers, Air Force Academy collateral consequences cases, discharge review board upgrade requests, and Board of Correction of military record cases. My active duty military experience is that of being a civil engineering officer. I later transitioned to the Air National Guard. After an initial appointment with the 118th Airlift Wing in Nashville, Tennessee, a statutory tour at the National Guard Bureau SG office prompted transfer to the District of Columbia Air National Guard. My current Air National Guard assignment is with the medical group of the 102nd Intelligence Wing located at Otis Air National Guard Base, Cape Cod, Massachusetts. I serve as a supervisory physician for a wonderful team of 7 nurses and 10 physicians assigned to the EFMP medical branch. This team of nurses brings a broad range of experience to the team, including pediatrics, oncology, obstetrics and gynecology, intensive care, as well as general medicine. In addition to the team of nurses, the EFMP Central Cell physician specialties are vast, as you can see listed on the screen. I feel it's important for you to know this team is not only steeped in medical specialties, they also bring an enormous amount of personal and military experience to the team. 8 of the 10 physicians considering your cases have military experience. 6 of the 7 nurses have military experience as active members or dependents. The team shares a joint service perspective, having served and retired from the Army, Air Force, and the Navy. This team knows what it's like to pack up a home and prepare to move a family. They also understand the amount of coordination and stress families face during a PCS move and make every effort to make the right determination when it comes to ensuring your family's care is available at your new location. Making the right decision for your family is certainly a team effort, starting with you and the information you provide in your application. So ultimately, this team of physicians can ensure the right care is available for your family. I'd like to share a few tips on how you can help the processing of your FMTS application. Provide clear and concise information and be transparent when submitting your application. We look through multiple medical systems to locate applicable medical documentation to make informed decisions. When complete medical information is not provided or not available for evaluation, it slows down the process and delays the final determination. If additional information is requested, please provide it in a timely manner. If additional clinical assessments or diagnostic testing is recommended, please complete as soon as possible. Lastly, and most importantly, stay connected with your local special needs coordinator. Provide any updates or changes that may affect your medical needs or processing of your application. Please know we are carefully reviewing your medical information and working with our health benefit analysts to consider every possible way to turn a nay into a yay for our Air Force and Space Force members and their families. Thank you for the opportunity to speak with you today. My fellow providers and members of the EFMP Medical Branch appreciate the opportunity to serve you and your family.
Thank you, Dr. George and Dr. Sutton, for providing helpful tips our members can take to ensure smooth and timely processing of their family member travel screening application. You may be asking, what happens next? Where does the application go? Who's reviewing this application? How long should it take? What decisions am I waiting for? Or what are my options? Trust me, it's only natural to have some of these or all of these questions, and probably a few more. I'm happy to have a few very important members of my team here to help answer your questions. First, I would like to introduce Ms. Ashley Martinez. Ashley is one of our nurses in the EFMP Central Cell, and she's here to share information about the fast track process. Ms. Ashley?
Hello, my name is Ashley Martinez. I'm a nurse with the EFMP Central Cell. Recently, the EFMP Central Cell implemented several initiatives to better serve members and their families. One initiative is the fast track process. I would like to take a moment to share with you the purpose of the fast track process and how it relates to your FMTS application. It's important to note the term fast track describes an internal procedure used by our medical team to expedite the processing of an application to the gaining location. When the EFMP Central Cell receives an application, our team of nurses and medical administrators review the application and consider several factors such as completeness. Are all the required forms uploaded? Are the forms signed in all the correct places? Needs. Are medical and education needs fully identified? Gaining location. Is the gaining location in a metropolitan area with large medical centers versus a remote community with limited services? And lastly, availability of resources. Does it meet the needs of your family? Some examples of applications that can be fast-tracked include families traveling overseas who only require annual wellness exams with their primary care provider or pediatrician and have current physicals uploaded into their medical records. Families with only education needs, such as an individualized education plan or a family service plan. If your application meets the fast track criteria, it then moves directly to the gaining location for final review and approval. So what happens if your application doesn't meet the fast track option? The application will continue through normal processing actions. Applications are reviewed on a first in, first out basis. You are encouraged to submit your application as early as possible and stay connected with your local EFMP medical office. You can expect to receive a travel determination no later than 120 days prior to your projected departure. Our team's top priority is ensuring the medical and education needs of your family are met. It's been a pleasure to speak with you today. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Martinez. Great information about the fast-track process. And you're right, ensuring our family's medical and educational needs are met is our top priority. So your application is submitted, it's moving through the review process, and a travel determination has been made. What does this determination mean for your family? Applications will result in one of two travel determinations: approved, also known as dependent travel approved, or disapproved, also known as a dependent travel not approved. If your application receives a dependent travel approved, commonly referred to as a DTA, this means the projected location can support the medical and educational needs outlined in your application. If the medical and/or educational needs outlined in your application cannot be met at the projected location, the application is disapproved and results in a dependent travel not approved, or DTNA. When a member receives a disapproval, there are several options or actions to consider. Before we get to those options, it's important to discuss the reconsideration process. Here to tell us more about reconsiderations is Tech Sergeant Christina Clutter.
Thank you, Ms. Hearn. My name is Tech Sergeant Clutter, and I am the NCOIC of the EFMP Central Cell's Medical Operations Branch. A common question we hear when members receive a travel disapproval is, how can I appeal this decision? Or a member will email to say, we had a change in diagnoses after we submitted our travel application. Can we resubmit? The answer to both of those scenarios is yes. The reconsideration process, formerly known as an appeal, is in place to provide an avenue for members to submit new information when a travel disapproval is received. A member is authorized one reconsideration opportunity. And to prepare you to make that one opportunity as successful as possible, I want to provide you with 5 key factors to keep in mind when preparing your reconsideration request. First, it is important to clearly understand the reasons for the disapproval and understand what needs to be provided to support a successful reconsideration. Secondly, your primary source for guidance and receiving a thorough understanding of your disapproval is your local special needs coordinator at your supporting military treatment facility. Third, upon notification of the disapproval, the member must select the option for reconsideration via MyVector within 7 calendar days of notification. Fourth, after the initial 7 days, the member will have an additional 14 calendar days to provide new or additional documentation. Lastly, and most importantly, it is important to provide new or additional medical or educational documentation which supports overturning your denial. The Central Cell has one goal every day: to do all that we can to get our members and their families to the right locations. We are standing by to work collaboratively with you and your special needs coordinators to make sure your one reconsideration is a good one. Ms. Hearn, thank you for the opportunity to share this information. Back to you.
Thank you, Sergeant Clutter. All great tips to ensure our families are well informed as they prepare a reconsideration. The next step in the process is exploring other available options if a family travel request is disapproved. The Department of the Air Force approves 90% of all travel applications. However, there are times when medical or educational specialty needs are not available at the gaining location. We track travel disapprovals very closely to ensure we connect with the impacted families and to advocate for expanded health and educational support. The Central Cell also offers every family the opportunity to request a reconsideration upon receipt of the disapproval. Your first step is connecting with your assignment navigator. The EFMP Central Cell Assignment Navigator team, Tech Sergeant Shalyn Darby, Tech Sergeant Caitlin Walden, and Tech Sergeant Rachel Bacalad help members and families navigate the next step in the application process. The assignment navigators are joining us today to share information on what you can expect if your travel is disapproved. Tech Sergeant Darby, over to you.
Thank you, Mrs. Hearn. Hello, everyone. My name is Tech Sergeant Darby, and I am an assignment navigator for the EFMP Central Cell. I'd like to start by clearing up the misconception of a travel disapproval is a bad thing. It really isn't. There are a few things to keep in mind. The first one is we understand you are disappointed and possibly frustrated, and your assignment navigator is going to discuss the options to determine what best fits for your family. Number 2, in most cases, a disapproval is not the end of assignment actions. Number 3, members can rest comfortably knowing your family is not being sent to a location where their medical and educational needs cannot be supported. Lastly, as a bonus, you get personalized support from me and the entire assignment navigating team. If a member's travel application results in a disapproval, the member will receive a system-generated email to log into their MyVector account and for additional actions. The email will also instruct the member to click on the Family Member Travel Screening Dashboard link provided in the email to be directed to the MyVector dashboard. Once on the dashboard, click Family Member Travel Screening Required button to start your DTNA process and select DTNA Response. Remember when I said in most cases a disapproval does not mean the end of an assignment action? Let's look at what that means. But before we move on, it's important to note assignment actions from this point forward depends on members' move status. Is the member a mandatory mover or a non-mandatory mover? A member in a mandatory mover status, commonly referred to as a mandatory mover, is currently serving in a position or a location for a specified amount of time, and that time frame is coming to an end. For an example, a member is serving in an overseas location and their date of return from overseas, or DEROS, is coming up. This member is considered a mandatory mover. Another example is if a member is serving in a special duty position like a technical training instructor, military training instructor, or a first sergeant and has served their specified amount of time for that special duty assignment, then they are considered a mandatory mover. If a member is part of a unit move due to removal of authorizations at their current location, they are as well considered a mandatory mover. Members in a non-mandatory move status are currently serving in a regular assignment and not on a stabilized tour and have received an assignment through the normal assignment cycles. All members, regardless of mandatory or non-mandatory move status receiving a disapproval, are authorized to request a reconsideration. As Tech Sergeant Clutter mentioned, members receive one time to submit a reconsideration, and I echo the tips that she provided to help families when submitting a reconsideration request. As a reminder, your local EFMP medical office special needs coordinator is the point of contact to assist with these requests. Depending on the member's move status, there are several other options available to consider. My teammate and fellow assignment navigator, Tech Sergeant Rachel Bacolode, is here to provide you with a brief overview of these options.
Thank you, Tech Sergeant Darby. Let's start with mandatory mover options. If a member is identified as a mandatory mover, they are provided with 3 options: reconsideration, EFMP deferment, or EFMP reassignment. The team has talked a lot today about reconsideration requests. Members with new medical information they feel could change the disapproval decision are encouraged to submit the new information along with the reconsideration request. Submitting a reconsideration even with new information does not mean the disapproval will automatically be overturned. If a reconsideration is requested and the disapproval is upheld, members in a mandatory mover status may consider 2 other options. Let's look at an EFMP deferment. To be eligible for an EFMP deferment, the member must be identified as a mandatory mover by their AFPC assignment team, and their EFMP dependent must have received a new diagnosis and/or new treatment plan, or the dependent is at a critical juncture of care. Members will submit a written synopsis and documentation supporting the deferment request to the EFMP Central Cell Assignment Navigator for processing. If the deferment is approved with the EFMP Central Cell physicians, the member will receive an Assignment Availability Code 34 EFMP Deferment updated to their MilPDS personnel file, with an expiration date up to 12 months to remain in place at the current assigned location. An EFMP reassignment request is also an option. Once again, to be eligible for an EFMP reassignment, the member must be identified as a mandatory mover by their AFPC assignment team. Members in a non-mandatory move status may also request a reconsideration if there is new medical or educational information to consider. If the reconsideration still results in a disapproval, the assignment will be canceled. Most importantly, all members are asked to work closely with their local military personnel flight outbound assignments office for any assistance they may require during this process. Members must select an option within 2 business days of obtaining their disapproval notification. Failure to meet the suspense can cause delays that could impact both the member and the family.
Thank you, Sergeant Darby and Sergeant Bacalad. Lots of great information on the options available to members and families who receive a travel disapproval notice. Another initiative new to our families is the Accelerated Orders Initiative. Accelerated Orders has been available to many members in the past, but just recently we were able to include our members clearing dependents for overseas travel and members clearing travel for exceptional family members. Tech Sergeant Caitlin Walden joins us today to talk about the Accelerated Orders Initiative.
Thank you, Ms. Hearn. When a member receives an assignment, coordinating all the moving parts that come along with a PCS becomes a huge concern for the member and their family. In order to ease these stressors and make the process as smooth as possible, AFPC has implemented what is called the Accelerated Orders Initiative. Most EFMP families are eligible to receive accelerated orders. There are some exceptions, and members are encouraged to connect with their local military personnel flight, or MPF, to determine if they qualify for this initiative. The Accelerated Orders Initiative allows a member's travel orders to be issued in 2 parts. Part 1, the basic order, will be issued when the member completes the initial travel screening questionnaire, has initiated the FMTS application, and initiates any retainability if required. This allows members to receive their orders up to 180 days prior to the projected departure and allows members to schedule household goods shipment, arrange passenger travel, and begin making other necessary arrangements prior to receiving a dependent travel determination. Part 2, the amendment, is issued only after the MPF Outbound Assignments Office has verified family travel approval by a dependent travel approved determination in MyVector. The Accelerated Orders Initiative is in place to help our EFMP families prepare for PCS while waiting on their final travel determination. However, there are a few key factors to remember. It is very important that members and their families do not make any irrevocable financial decisions prior to receiving their final application determination. Secondly, members are not permitted to depart their losing duty location until they have received a final determination and have received both Part 1 and Part 2 of the PCS orders. For additional information and to see if you qualify for accelerated orders, reach out to your local MPF Outbound Assignments Office. The AFPC EFMP Assignment Navigators, in conjunction with your local MPF Outbound Assignments team, are here to assist members and their families. I hope you have found this information useful, and we look forward to moving through this assignment process with you.
Thank you, team. Wow, it's a lot of information, and we know you will have questions. You are not on this journey alone. As my team stated throughout this broadcast, we are here to work collaboratively with you and your local resources. Connect with your special needs coordinator and your MPF. They are your best first resource. As I close today, I leave you with our contact information. We are available to answer any questions you have. Thank you for joining us today.